The arrival, the stars were quiet. Only the hum of the deep void filled the black space. Then the Arixa flagship, Viora, appeared out of warp, its hull scarred and smoking. Lights flickered along its sides like a dying heartbeat. Inside the bridge, Captain Serana stood tall, her silver scales glinting under the dim lights. Her crew worked in silence, their faces tense. They had survived a battle far from home, but something unseen had followed them here. Human space, Serana had always heard stories about this sector. Humans were strange, unpredictable, always trying to interfere in matters beyond their reach. But now, with her ship barely holding together, she had no choice. She ordered a transmission to the nearest human station. Her voice was calm, but her tail twitched with impatience. Hours later, a human warship arrived, sleek and dark against the starlight. It moved with quiet confidence, like a predator that knew its prey. From the warship came a voice through the comms, deep and steady. "This is Commander Hale of the UHS Resolute. Identify yourself and state your situation." Serana straightened, her tone firm. "I am Captain Serana of the Arixa fleet. Our ship is damaged. We require assistance." There was a pause. The human's reply was not what she expected. "Captain, before we discuss repairs, I need to ask, did you bring anything with you from the Gamma Rift region?" Serana's brow ridges tightened. "We recovered artifacts from a derelict world. They are secure in our cargo hold." Hale's voice dropped lower. "Captain, if one of those artifacts was a black containment capsule, you need to evacuate your ship right now." The bridge crew exchanged uneasy glances. Serana almost laughed. "Evacuate? Because of an artifact?" "Humans were dramatic," she replied with cool irritation. "We have no reason to fear a relic, Commander. Your warning is unnecessary." Holy did not argue. He simply said, "Captain, it's not a relic, it's a prison." Before Serana could respond, a faint metallic clang echoed over the comms. Her comm officer looked up sharply. "That sound came from our ship, Section 12, but there's no one assigned there, right?" Now, the sound came again, louder, a slow, deliberate step, then another. The crew checked the internal cams. The feed was static, nothing but black snow. Serana felt a strange unease creep into her chest. For the first time, she thought of the capsule in their cargo bay. It had been sealed, yes, but the seal had been old, the metal almost brittle. Hale's voice returned, steady but urgent. "Captain, listen to me. Humans encountered this thing once before. We barely stopped it. If you don't act now..." She cut him off. "We will handle our own ship, Commander." She ended the channel, though the echo of his warning stayed in her mind. In the dim-lit corridors of the Viora, an engineer walked alone. His boots clicked on the metal floor as he carried a toolkit. He was on his way to check the flickering lights in Section 12. The hallway was cold, colder than it should be. He reached the corner, turned, and froze. There was something there, something like a shadow, but thicker, darker. It pulsed as if breathing. Before he could move, the shadow slid across the wall toward him. The lights above went out, and the cum in his ear hissed with static. Back on the bridge, the engineer's signal vanished. The crew worked frantically to reconnect. No answer. Serana's jaw tightened. Her second officer leaned closer and whispered, "Captain, maybe the human is right." She ignored him. To admit the human might be right would be to admit weakness. And the Arixa never bowed to human fear. Still, as she stared at the stars, beyond the viewport, she felt the ship's silence. Not the peaceful silence of space, but the heavy silence of something waiting, watching. The damage alarm still beeped softly in the background, but it was the other sound she could not ignore. Faint, far away, but real. The sound of slow, deliberate footsteps moving through her ship. Footsteps that did not belong to any living crew member. And somewhere in the dark belly of the Viora, the black capsule sat open, its ancient seals broken. Something old and hungry now free to roam the halls. Asterisk the first sign that the corridors of the Viora felt different now, not just damaged, changed. The walls seemed to carry a low hum, almost like a whisper too soft to catch. Some crew avoided walking alone, glancing over their shoulders as if expecting someone or something to follow. Sharana told herself it was just nerves after the battle, but the reports kept coming in. Doors sliding open without command, lights flickering in patterns that almost looked intentional, a cargo drone powering on by itself and moving down the hall before shutting off again. In the mess hall, Officer Lero sat with 3 others. They spoke in low voices. Lero leaned in. "I saw it, I swear." A shadow that didn't match anything in the room. It moved when no one else did. The others laughed nervously. One of them muttered, "You've been listening to too many human ghost stories." Lero's eyes darted to the dark corner of the room. "No. This thing was watching me." On the bridge, Sharana tried to focus on repair schedules. Her comms officer interrupted. "Captain, the human ship is hailing again." Sharana frowned but allowed the connection. Commander Hale's voice came through. Steady but more urgent than before. "Captain, my scans show unusual energy readings in your ship's lower decks. That's the entity. It feeds on movement and light. If you keep your systems running normally, you're feeding it." Sharana's frill twitched. "We will handle this," she said. Holly didn't raise his voice, but his words cut through the static. "No, Captain." "You think you will?" The last species that ignored this warning lost their homeworld. Before she could respond, the comms officer gasped. "Captain, look at Section 12's feed." The screen flickered. For just a second, the static cleared. A dark shape was moving down the corridor. Not walking, not floating, sliding, its outline twisted, as if its body couldn't decide what shape to take. Then the feed went dead again. A call came from engineering. One of the junior techs was missing. His comm unit still transmitted faint noises, shallow breathing, and something else. A wet, dragging sound. Slow and steady. The sound of something alive, but not human. Sharana ordered the area sealed. But the bulkhead doors refused to close. The console displayed the override code. Yet no one had entered it. It was as if the ship itself had decided the doors should stay open. Her second officer whispered again. "Captain, the human knows something, maybe." "Enough," she snapped, but her voice lacked the weight it had before. The crew didn't notice the cold air slowly spreading through the decks. They didn't notice the faint pattern of frost forming along the walls. But the entity noticed them. It was moving faster now, following the warmth of living things, and far away, in the black corridors, a voice, not human, not Arixa, spoke a single word into the darkness, a word no translator could identify. But the meaning was clear enough. It meant hunger. The hidden threat in the cargo hold of the Veera. The air felt heavy. The lights above flickered in a slow rhythm, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to anything alive. Sharana walked between the stacked containers, her boots clicking softly. On the metal floor, the silence here wasn't normal silence. It was the kind that pressed on your ears, making you feel smaller than you were. She stopped in front of a large storage bay. Inside was the black capsule, the one her crew had recovered from the derelict world. It was open now. The edges of the metal were torn inward, as if something had forced its way out. A faint black dust clung to the floor around it. And when she stepped closer, the dust seemed to pull toward her boot, almost like it wanted to touch her. "Captain." Her science officer's voice shook as he scanned the capsule. "This isn't a relic. This is a containment vessel. But the readings are wrong. Whatever was inside. It's not matter, not energy. It's something in between." Sharana didn't answer. Her eyes stayed on the open container. In her mind, Hale's warning replayed. "It's not a relic. It's a prison." Her comm beeped. Hale's voice came through. Quiet but firm. "Captain, I've sent you a file. It's restricted. Top human clearance. Read it." Against her pride, she opened the file. The screen filled with a grainy image. A colony settlement on a barren world. Dozens of people stood frozen mid-step, their bodies coated in frost, eyes wide open. No wounds, no burns, just stillness. The report beneath the image explained. Entity Theta breached containment. All life signs ceased within 3 hours. Entity feeds on bioelectric energy, leaves bodies intact, spreads through darkness and low temperature zones. Another image loaded. The black capsule, identical to hers. Surrounded by human marines in heavy armor, the report ended with one chilling line: containment failed. Only solution: total destruction of vessel and infected zone. She scrolled further. At the bottom was a personal note from a human commander. If you're reading this, it means you found the capsule. Do not think you can control it. Do not think. It can be reasoned with. It does not negotiate. It does not sleep. It only consumes. Serana felt the cold of the cargo bay seep deeper into her skin. Her comms officer's voice suddenly cut in, panicked. "Captain, sensors just detected movement in the ventilation shafts. It's heading toward the crew decks." Hawley came back on the line, sharper now. "You're out of time, Captain. Seal off half your ship and prepare to vent it into space. That's your only chance." She looked again at the open capsule. The black dust at her feet swirled slightly, even though there was no wind. And in that swirl, for just a moment, she thought she saw the shape of a face, smiling, asterisk, the first victim. Maintenance tunnels of the Vera were narrow and dim. Pipes lined the walls, carrying the faint sound of rushing coolant. Tovin, a junior engineer, moved slowly through the shadows. He carried a small lamp in one hand, the light shaking slightly as he walked. He had been sent to check a malfunctioning vent near Section 12, but the further he went, the colder it became. His breath misted in the air, curling into shapes before fading away. Somewhere ahead, metal clanged softly, like someone tapping the wall with a single finger. Tovin. "To bridge." "I'm almost at the vent," he whispered into his comm. Static answered him. He tried again. "Bridge. Do you read?" Still nothing. The static hissed like breathing in his ear. He reached the junction and froze. The lamp's light flickered. The vent grill in front of him was bent inward. The metal edges curled like they had been melted and pulled at the same time. Beyond the vent was only blackness, not normal darkness. This one seemed to drink the light from his lamp. Something moved inside it. Not fast, not slow, just a gentle shift. 2 pale points appeared in the dark. They weren't eyes, not exactly, but they watched. The points slid upward, and a shape began to pour from the vent. It didn't step out, it flowed, like liquid shadow given weight. Tendrils brushed the walls as it came, leaving behind thin trails of frost. The metal under its touch groaned. As if in pain, Tovin stumbled back, his lamp flickering wildly. "Bridge," he tried to yell, but his voice cut into static. The shadow moved faster now. It didn't lunge. It simply was suddenly closer. Cold wrapped around his chest. His breath caught. He could no longer feel his own heartbeat. On the bridge, Serana heard the cum crackle. A single sharp gasp. Then silence. The channel stayed open. In the background came a slow, wet dragging sound. Then something that made the crew's skin crawl. A whisper. Deep and inhuman. Not in any language their translators could detect. But every crew member understood the feeling behind it. It was the sound of possession. Serana gripped the console, her claws digging into the surface. "Lock down Section 12. She barked, but the security system replied with a calm tone. "Override accepted." The doors stayed open. The lights along the corridor outside began to flicker, one by one, going dark. Hale's voice came urgently over the comm. "You've lost him, Captain. If you wait any longer, you'll lose the rest too." Serana didn't answer. She was staring at the comm panel. Tovin's ID still showed as active. Location: Section 12. Life signs: unknown. But the system displayed a final chilling detail: temperature dropping fast. The humans planned the Veyra's bridge was tense. The cold from Section 12 had begun to creep into the upper decks. Crew whispered about seeing shapes at the edges of their vision. No one wanted to walk alone anymore. The human warship Resolute kept pace outside. Commander Hale's face appeared on the bridge screen again. His voice was calm, but his eyes held a weight that Serana hadn't noticed before. "Captain, listen carefully," he said. "You have maybe 2 hours before the entity spreads beyond. Your ability to contain it, my scans show it's moving through your ventilation systems. It's using your own ship to hunt you." Serana's frill twitched. "You said it feeds on movement and light. What do you propose?" Holly leaned forward. "You vent the infected sections into space. That will slow it, maybe weaken it enough to contain. But you can't just seal doors. It can move through the cold. You have to isolate it completely." She narrowed her eyes. "You speak like you've done this before." For a moment, Haile was silent. Then he said, "I have." He tapped his console, and another restricted human file appeared on Serana's screen. The image showed a younger Hala standing on the frozen surface of a ruined colony. Behind him were rows of human bodies, all intact, all frozen mid-breath. "My first command," he said quietly. "We found the capsule on an abandoned moon. I thought we could study it, learn from it. But within hours, my crew started disappearing. I saw my friends standing still, eyes open, frost crawling across their skin, and then they were just gone." The bridge was silent. Even Serana felt the weight in his voice. "I destroyed my own ship to stop it," Haile continued. "I lost everyone except myself and a single shuttle pilot. That was 20 years ago. And now I see the same readings. On your ship, Captain. The exact same pattern." Serana's pride battled with the tight knot of fear in her chest. "You're asking me to throw away half my ship. I will lose crew." Haile didn't flinch. "You'll lose everyone if you don't. And then it will come for me. And for the next world and the next, until nothing warm-blooded is left." Before she could answer, her tactical officer shouted, "Captain, movement detected in the upper decks. It's bypassed the sealed bulkheads." A camera feed flickered on, showing a long corridor with frost creeping along the floor. At the far end, something moved, a twisting mass of darkness. It turned as if looking at the camera. And then every light in the feed went out. Hale's voice cut back in, sharper now. "You've got minutes. Captain, decide." The deadly consequences. The bridge of the Vera was filled with alarms. Red warning lights flashed, painting the crew in sharp shadows. The temperature continued to drop. Frost spread across the consoles. Screens blinked and distorted, as if something was pressing against the systems from the inside. "Captain, we have to act," her second officer shouted. But Serana's claws gripped the console, unmoving. She was calculating the cost, the risk, the shame of needing human help. Then the lights above flickered. Not in random bursts, in a rhythm, 3 short flashes. 3 long, 3 short again. It was a pattern. The entity was learning, communicating with itself through the ship's own circuits. In the lower decks, the shadow no longer moved like liquid. It had grown taller. Its tendrils had formed crude, twisted shapes of limbs. The frost that followed it was thicker now, spreading in jagged lines like veins through the metal every few seconds. It stopped, as if listening, and then changed direction. It knew where the crew were hiding. Serana watched another feed. 4 crew members were running down a corridor toward a sealed hatch. Frost raced along the floor after them, moving faster than they could run. They reached the hatch and slammed the controls. The door began to lower, but the frost reached them first. The air turned white with cold. One by one, they froze mid-step, their faces locked in terror. The hatch closed, trapping them inside. With the creeping ice, the feed went black on the come. Hale's voice was no longer calm. "It's adapting, Captain. Every second you wait makes it harder to kill. Soon it won't need cold to move. Soon it will just be everywhere at once." Serana's chest tightened. "Prepare the venting sequence," she ordered, her voice finally sharp. Her tactical officer began to input the command, but the screen blinked red. Access denied. The entity had locked them out. "It's in the controls," the officer stammered. "Every system we try, it overrides instantly." Serana opened the come to Halle. It's already inside our systems, she admitted. Then there's only one way left, Hale said. You shut down the ship completely. No power, no heat, no life support. And hope your crew can survive the freeze until we get you out. Before she could respond, the lights across the bridge went out. Only the sound of their own breathing remained. And then, from somewhere deep in the ship, came a slow, echoing knock, 3 times, like something announcing it had arrived. The final stand, the bridge was dark. Only the pale glow of frost on the consoles lit the room. The crew huddled together, their breath misting in the freezing air. Every sound seemed too loud. Every creak of the ship felt like it came from something alive. Then the crackled. This is Commander Hale. The human's voice came through, steady despite the static. My team is boarding. Keep your crew in place. Don't try to help us. If you open the wrong door, you'll doom us all. Serana wanted to argue, but there was something in his tone, a weight she couldn't ignore. Outside, the Resolute launched a small craft. It locked onto the Veyra's airlock with a heavy thud. 5 humans in bulky isosuits stepped inside, their visors glowing with a cold white light. Each carried a weapon that pulsed faintly, not guns, not blades, but something older, human tech designed only for killing this one thing. Through her screens, Serana watched them move down the frost-covered halls. Their boots crunched on the ice, their breaths echoed inside their helmets. Behind them, the doors sealed shut one by one. They were cutting off their own escape. The shadow came for them in the central corridor. It was bigger now, its form stretching to the ceiling. The temperature dropped so fast that frost cracked under their feet. The humans didn't stop. They fired bursts of searing white light. The entity recoiled, its tendrils thrashing against the walls. But it didn't run. It fought. The corridor shook as if the ship itself was groaning. On the bridge, Serana heard Hale's voice over the comm. Captain, when I give the word, launch your escape. Pods don't wait for us. She stared at the screen. You're not coming back, are you? Hale didn't answer. Instead, he said, tell your people this. Humans are dangerous not because we win every fight, but because we don't stop until the other side is gone. The feed showed one human planting a device against the wall. A pulse of light ran through the frost. The entity screamed, not in sound, but in a vibration that rattled Serana's teeth. The humans advanced, forcing it back toward the venting chamber. The frost was melting under the white light now, steam filling the corridor. Hale's voice came again. Pods, Captain, now. Serana hesitated for only a heartbeat, then ordered her crew to move. They ran through the dim corridors, ice crunching underfoot. The escape pods launched one after another, streaking away from the ship. From her pod's viewport, Serana saw the Veyra glow from within. Light poured from its seams like fire breaking through ice. Then a sudden silent explosion tore through it. The ship broke apart, pieces scattering into the stars. The shadow was gone. Her pod drifted, the human warship moving closer to collect them. Serana's claws tightened on the seat straps. She had never thought highly of humans before, but now she understood why their stories spread across the galaxy. Not because they were the strongest, not because they were the smartest, but because when they warned you of danger, they meant it. She whispered into the cold air, I should have listened.